The arrival of specialists in Battlefield 2042 has been polarizing. We have heard you.
Oh, you can say that again. Welcome back everyone, and if you haven't seen already, Battlefield 2042 have released what they're going to be doing for Season 2 and also a bit beyond that for Season 3. And the big news coming out of that is of course that they're going to be bringing back classes. They're not going to be getting rid of specialists. I don't think they're ever going to get rid of specialists for Battlefield 2042. But at least it seems like they're heading in the right direction in terms of listening to what the community wants, especially in relation to classes. But I wanted to talk more about what they're doing on the whole. And now, before I get into this video, I should also state that I have been very critical of Battlefield 2042 in the past, but I don't want to just keep talking about that, so I don't want to say it before every video. I know they have not done the best thing for 2042. People tend to get a bit annoyed when you praise them for anything, and I understand that because it's been an extremely disappointing Battlefield game. But they focus more on just trying to do a bit of a money grab as opposed to make the Battlefield that the community wants. So anyway, I don't want to say that every time I do a video on an update on Battlefield 2042, so I'm just going to refer back to previous videos and get on with what I wanted to talk about today, because although previously they definitely didn't listen to the feedback when it came to 2042, that's effectively killed their game. It does seem like with what they're saying for Season 2 and beyond, they are starting to listen a little bit more, and they're starting to take a bit more responsibility for the mistakes they've made, which is something I've been calling for a long time. And now, like I said, yeah, Battlefield 2042 we all know is a big disappointment, and nonetheless I've been playing it quite a lot, mostly because, and I've said this before, there's very little competition for this style of game. If you want to play this style of game, you've kind of got to play Battlefield, and sometimes you just want to play the latest thing, which in this case is 2042. So I have actually been playing a decent amount of it, just trying to get to the bottom of exactly what it is that's kind of holding this game back. So I've been playing on 64 players, so the performance has been good, and I've also been playing on older maps like Arica Harbour and Caspian Border, because maps make obviously a huge difference to the enjoyment of the game, and those old school maps I know are classics, they're very good maps, so it kind of eliminates two things before performance and maps in determining what is actually missing with the game. But nonetheless, I have been enjoying 2042 lately. It's still obviously nowhere near as good as it should have been, but I've been having fun with it here and there. I've not been getting fully engaged with it, but just playing it now and then, it's still pretty fun for me. So let's get into actually what they're working on for Season 2 and beyond. Now, what I will say is Season 1 was pretty disappointing for everyone. They had a good new map, but in terms of what they added to the game and what needed to be done, there was nowhere near enough done for Season 1. So I think everyone was pretty disappointed. Now I think what we'll see with Season 2, if you look at it standalone, will be a similar thing in terms of the actual amount. The amount that appears to have been done is quite little. And I think that it's probably stems from the fact that there's real core issues with the game. So I'm sure they're trying to work on those core issues, which are a bit more subtle. And then if they're trying to add in content at the same time, they're just not going to put in that much content. And we're going to see that with Season 2. We're going to see that with Season 3 as well, I'm pretty sure. But from their release, just saying what they're going to be working on, it seems like they're going to be doing a lot, but you've got to bear in mind that's over 2 seasons. So actually each update is going to be pretty underwhelming, I reckon. Now, that being said, I think what they're doing for the updates is good, and I think where they're heading is in the right direction. And just firing from the hip here, this is pretty speculative, but I reckon that by around Season 3, maybe mid-Season 3, I reckon that's the state that the game will be in where it should have released. And if it had released then, I think it'd have been much more popular. People obviously still wouldn't have enjoyed specialists, and there'd have been some other little issues with the game. But as we go through what they're adding and what they're going to be adding in, you'll see why, if they got to that stage before releasing, a lot of the big issues that people had with the game would have been dealt with. Now obviously that's way later than they actually did release, so pretty inexcusable in that regard. But it'd be interesting to see whether players start coming back in that time period as the mid-Season 3. I think a lot of people are not playing it on principle, and yeah, I can respect that. That's a good thing to do if you want to punish companies for just taking the slightly rubbish route of just going for the money and going for the cash grab as opposed to making a really good game. So a fair number of people will not be playing it on principle, and yeah, more power to them. Keep playing the old Battlefields. whatever you guys enjoy. But what are we getting with Season 2? Okay, so they're adding new primary weapons and one new sidearm. I don't think it's many new primary weapons, along with, and now this is something that I really wanted them to do a while ago, adding their first 2 vault weapons. So what vault weapons is, it's just weapons from previous games they've already got kind of in the game in the Portal environment. So like the M16 assault rifle and the M60 LMG. Yeah, I was saying this when I was playing some Battlefield games. They just need to add in some of these weapons, because where they are at the moment, there's nowhere near enough weapons, there's nowhere near enough variety, and you've got all these assets in the Portal. Just, I know it seems a bit lazy, and it is a bit lazy as opposed to making new weapons, but if it's just quicker for the time being just to get them in the game, like you had with Bad Company 2, you had like the M1 Garand and Thompson and stuff like that. Just get those older weapons into the game. No one cares about the backstory to 2042. It's just no one cares about it. So it doesn't matter if it's kind of doesn't fit in with the world they've created, because no one cares about that. So just get those weapons in. I think that's a good idea. And if they keep adding those stuff in, if we start seeing weapons from Bad Company 2 and things like that in Battlefield 2042, I think that's a great thing for them to do, just to add a bit of variety. What we'll see, not on the release of Season 2, but just a few months after, maybe a few weeks after for one of them, is a rework of some of their maps. Now, they already reworked Kaleidoscope to basically add in a lot more cover. So a huge issue with the game is how barren the maps are. Extremely lacking in content, in feeling, and also just, it's just in terms of gameplay, it's annoying because there's no cover. So they added in more cover, and they had made some changes to Kaleidoscope, and they made that map a lot better. So they're doing that for 2 more maps. They're doing it for Renewal and Orbital, but both those will be released after Season 2. And like I said, when I've been playing on the older maps like Caspian Border and Arica Harbour, it's been a lot more fun. So maps really make a big difference. I think that's why I'm thinking that if the game released after they've hopefully reworked all of the maps that they've got, so they've actually got a bit more content in, I think the enjoyment factor for people playing the game, maybe coming back to it or playing it for the first time, will be a lot higher than it was when it first released. And now onto the big news that I'm sure you would have heard about by now, that they are reintroducing classes to Battlefield 2042. So what's going to happen is each of the specialists are going to fit into a different class. They've got 4 roles. They've got Assault, Recon, Support and Engineer. And what the class will do is they'll introduce new restrictions on gadgets, and I'm just reading from what they say now, enabling you to better assess the threat and understand who may be carrying what in their arsenal, as well as assigning new class traits to the specialists that help them to better support their role in the battlefield. Now each class will have a different set of restrictions on the gadgets they can use. So for example, only the engineer can use the rocket launchers and things like that, and only the recon can use the proximity sensor and the soft lam. And you'll also get an extra bit of equipment which is just a baseline for that class. So the assault will get a med pen, the support will get a defibrillator, the engineer will get a repair tool, and the recon will get an insertion beacon. So I think that's pretty much what people wanted to see. I think that's a nice change back into kind of a class system. Obviously we'd all prefer, I'm pretty sure, if they just got rid of the specialists and just left it as the class, but I don't think they're going to do that, and I think this is the best step considering the fact that they're going to have to keep in specialists. They also say that they are continuing to bring visual and audio improvements to our specialist roster. This includes work on their voices, body posture, facial expression and facial expression changes. We started this work already during Season 1 and will continue to release updates on this throughout the year. Now some of that stuff, I mean, it just seems so minor compared to the big issues they've got, like facial expressions changes. Trust me, that is not what's wrong with Battlefield 2042, and body posture as well. But you know, body posture, things like body posture and voice, they are minor, but it really can just, I mean, the voice especially, I think they've made it better in Season 1, but they used to just drive me up the wall hearing their stupid little one-liners. So I think it is actually a bit important for them to address that, even though it seems like a pretty small thing, just to get the feel of the game a bit better and a bit less kind of Fortnite-y, I guess is what they were going for, or Overwatch style, like, oh, quirky, hey guys, this kind of thing, even though the world's supposed to be ending. So if they kind of work on that, I think they'll actually create a nicer feel of the game. And just a little bit more on the vault weapons. So what they say is none of the new vault weapons that we bring in from Battlefield Portal will have unlockable or purchasable cosmetics and will not feature mastery appearances. We made the decision to maintain their default looks and increase the speed at which we can add new Vault weapons in the future. This allows us to stay focused on their gameplay balance and correctly mapping them with the back-end systems which help us to manage your progression across the game. So I actually like that, although it's clearly a bit of a panic thing for them trying to get these weapons in, so they've got a bit more content for season updates. I like, yeah, don't worry about cosmetics. We're clearly in a panic situation at Battlefield 2042. They clearly are just working to just get whatever they can into the game, and that's kind of the mindset they should have had from the get-go, is make sure that the core element is there, and then you can worry about things like cosmetics and the superficial stuff, rather than try and build your game around skins and things like that. So I'm actually happy, although it clearly states that they're panicking to get content into the game, I'm actually happy with their approach on this. I think, yeah, focus on the important stuff. And they also say, which is really cool, later in season 2 updates, they're introducing more weapons such as the P90, AKS 74U and the M98B. Now, obviously, I don't know why it takes them a decent amount of time to get these assets in. I'm not a software guy. I don't know about the coding aspect to it and all that kind of good stuff, but I'd like to see just get them all in there. Like maybe they're trying to stagger it so they've got content held for later dates, which is relatively easy to add in. I don't know, but yeah, I'd like to just see get those guns in there, add all of them. And you might be saying, well, yeah, they should have just had that in the first place, or this isn't really good, they should be creating new weapons. Yeah, that I get it, and they should, but if this is the best they can do, at least they're giving us something, and they're not kind of staying on their high horse of being too proud to bring in older assets when it shows clearly that they're struggling. So I think credit where credit's due. They're at least making some kind of an effort to bring in some more weapons and some more content for those few people that are still playing Battlefield 2042. And finally, the big thing is that they're going to be having a new map for Season 2, and they say it's going to build upon the strengths of Exposure and is perfect for more infantry-focused gameplay with a smaller overall layout that really brings the intensity for 128 players. So what I'll say about that is, firstly, on the negative side, 128 players, I don't know what that performance is going to be like, especially if it's a smaller map and everyone's in a very close proximity to each other. Now, with that being said, Exposure was a good map, and it was by far the best map that they came out with, and I do think they've learned from their mistakes with their previous maps, so I think it'll be a good one. And also an infantry-focused gameplay. History of Battlefield will tell us that those types of maps prove to be very popular in the community, with things like Operation Metro and I can't remember what the other ones are called now. Close Quarter, the infantry-focused ones, do very well on previous Battlefields. So I think that's the right thing for them to do. Obviously, you don't want to just have that kind of gameplay, but I think that's the kind of thing that could bring some people back to the game, so it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know if I mentioned that. Yeah, the class system is only going to be coming to Season 3, I think later during Season 3, I think update 3.2, so I guess that's 2 updates after Season 3 would be my guess. So it is a little bit down the line. It's not something that we're going to be getting with Season 2. I think Season 2's content and Season 3's content will be a little bit underwhelming in terms of what it's providing, considering the amount of work that needs to be done. But yeah, on the whole, it seems like they are listening to feedback a bit more, and they are kind of going in roughly the right direction. Where this will end up, I really do not know. I don't know at what point. I mean, the game's going to get better, and it's going to get to the point where it's a pretty decent game. But at that point, are we starting to come out with a new Battlefield? Or is there something else, a competitor that's just going to blow it away? I don't know. But I do think, like I said, just a guess is that Season 3, I reckon that'll be the kind of release state. If you're trying to make it so it was a decent game before you released it, I reckon you're looking at Season 3 for that. Ideally once they've reworked all of their maps, so they've got more cover and stuff like that, and you've actually got a decent baseline. They've got rid of those cheesy voice acting lines. They've got more weapons into the game, even if some of them are from previous games. It just adds a bit more variety to it, and the actual gunplay is pretty good. Unfortunately, they butchered the game engine, so I think the performance issues are going to be with us for the entirety of this game. I think it'll take them a heck of a long time to sort those out. I don't know what they did to the Frostbite game engine, but I imagine that's something we'll only see the fruits of their work in the next Battlefield game. So that being said, like I said at the start of the video, I have been having fun with it, even though it's got a lot of flaws. I've still been enjoying it because there's nothing else to play. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you a little bit of an update of what they're working on, and also just some thoughts on the direction that they're going in. And if you did like it, as per usual, make sure you leave a like and also think about subscribing. Cheers guys.